Okay, yes. I think we're live now on Facebook, and we're also live on YouTube right now, and we're live on Instagram as well. I want to thank everyone for tuning in to this installment of the 19 Report. As always, we will be coming on with a timely subject. Right here in front of me is my teleprompter. All of the information on the teleprompter is mine by God's permission. I just write it down so I don't have to ramble on. Again, on Facebook, we're on the 19 Report, and I think that we're live as well. It is 1:54 p.m., and we're going to go into a subject today that I promised I would come back and talk about because the time that we talk about it. I entitled this particular commentary, The Promised Land, and asked the question, are we there yet? But the subtitle is Trials of the Children of Israel in the Promised Land, and the subtitle is Murder, Death, Destruction, Wickedness, and Uncontrolled Rage. Now, lately, we've had a lot of incidences in the media. Now, these are not the only incidences that are occurring, but these are the incidences that are being captured on film. Recently in South Carolina, the prison, there were, they reported 7 dead, but I think there was more like 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, maybe 12 that died in the prison. This is an all-out riot where bodies were stacked upon each other. You saw some of the horrific images of the dead bodies in the prison, people dying in the prison. Very, very horrific. But this is a sign of the time that we live in. The incident just recently with the Waffle House shooting and the rampage there, the school shootings, the black women who were asked to leave a restaurant because they were laughing, and recently black women who went to play golf and were asked to leave the golf course, allegedly because of the color of their skins or whatever. I haven't gotten the particulars of any of that yet. These are children of these are children of the parents who strive to do better for them, to get better for them. And at this point, what is happening is that we are becoming disconnected from the struggles of the past. So I want to talk about that a little bit today, and hopefully we'll get some clarity on it. I want to go directly into the subject matter. The world in 2018 is in more trouble than we know. What humanity is up against are the battles of illusionary living and our love of lies. I'm going to say that again. Humanity is up against the battle of illusionary living and lies. Now, on Facebook, I don't know if you're recording or not, but I disconnected from my network because they're always saying that I have low latency in my network, and I just connected to my data service. But again, it is acting up again, so it is what it is. Probably best anyway. But I'm going to keep on broadcasting and maybe post it up to Facebook as we continue on. Now, the world, as I said, in humanity are in deep trouble. We are in an illusionary state of living, and our love of lies and the ease and transitory life where we are most comfortable. And every desire that we receive or have in our minds, we can grant today. If we have to choose between the illusionary and the reality, we will try to balance between rebellion and what is I refer to as virtual reality. Stay with me on this as I try to catch my rhythm. Now, a simulation of what we perceive is real is what is considered virtual reality. And what we think should be or what we think should not be is how we perceive in our minds what we want to be real and what we want to be fake, but that's not necessarily what is real. Now, we are living in a time of false dreams. We're living in a time of false visions that tell us exactly what our subconscious mind wants us to think, exactly what we want to be true, even if it's not true. This was predicted and spoken of in the Bible, in the Quran, in the Tanakh, in all forms of religious literature. This time was predicted to come. Now, we're talking about the promised land, and are we there yet? And the reason I wanted to talk about this subject is because we were in a time when I was younger, if you got a car, It was a fixer-upper. You had to fix it up. You had to do so much work to it, but you were proud that you got this vehicle and you took pride in having it. Today, our children are driving off the lot in brand new everythings. So the desires of their heart are being filled because of our struggle in the past, but they're not connected to that struggle because they're not being taught about the struggle. They're simply being given the things that we were not allowed to have when we were younger. So that is damaging their psyche to the struggle of what we've gone through. And at the same time, it's taking them to a place where they perceive as everything and everyone is equal, when in reality they are not, because we don't teach them the struggle and the definition and the reality of inequality and what real equality is. Equality is not joining up with your enemy to eat at their restaurant. That's not equal. Equality, as I talked about earlier, is not the women who wanted to play golf on the white golf course and got rejected. Equality is not being shot down because of the color of your skin. Equality is we have our own golf course. We have our own Waffle Houses. We have our own restaurants. And we guard these things with our lives. And so when black and white get together, the white man says, "How are you?" The black man says, "How are you?" And we're looking at each other as equals because I have what you have. But capitalistic society does not want everyone to be able to do the same things. It sets up classes of people and convince us in our minds that we are better than the other because we have something, we know something, we've done something than the other person didn't do or is not able to do. We're talking about the promised land, and are we there yet? And I was telling you about how this generation, all desires are answered so quickly that they're becoming lost in the lie or the illusionary life that they desire. Now let's go to the book of Isaiah in the King James Version of the Bible. And again, I've always told you, and I know and I can prove that this book has secret messages in it that are very, very valuable to us. But I also know that this book has been tampered with, this book called Holy Bible. And in the book, it says that it has been diligently compared and revised. That means we did the best we could in the interpretation, but we may have made some mistakes or some information may have leaked in. But in this book, it's like a chess game of science and knowledge. It's like a higher knowledge that most of us only take the surface of. And we teach this book according to what's going on over in the East with the Eastern people, with the Zionists and all of these people. We teach it from that perspective, but we never relate this book to us, where we live, and how we are supposed to survive in it. So this promised land that is promised, are we there yet? I ask the question because really the promised land is a state of mind. And having that state of mind, you create a heaven wherever you go. But we have been taught that everything is a place or a thing that is supposed to keep us satisfied internally, to believe that we are there, wherever there is, that we have made it. It's a thing. And Satan is over the control of this thing that makes us to believe that we are successful. So some he let in with the stipulations that you do what I say, when I say, how I say, and some will never get in. In a small town, I'll never get in because my viewpoints are so different. But this is what has helped me to make it to this point, this teaching from the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. I'm not concerned about the Muslims who think that I shouldn't say what I say. I know what I've been through, and I know who got me through it. I'm not so much concerned about those Christians or any other religion who says that what I'm saying is shirk, what I'm saying is false. I'm following a false religion. I know where I was, and I know where God put me. Now, you can call him any name you want. This is the promised land. This is what we're talking about. Are we there yet? In our own minds, we're supposed to have an independent thought that keeps us going in this day and time. I'm trying to teach that to my children. I'm trying to teach that to my youngest son. Everybody is filling his mind up with how he's supposed to do it. And I'm telling him, find yourself in it, and you will be good at it. But he's angry at me for telling him not to listen to all of the voices in his head. Find yourself. And in finding yourself, you're finding the God nature in you and me. But as long as we take someone else's blueprint and try to make it work for us, we can use some of it, but we can't use it all. We're talking about the promised land. Now, we're in Isaiah 30, 8 through 10. And I was just talking about how this illusionary life has us to think that we are in heaven when perhaps we're not, and how we desire the illusionary life because it's easier, because rather than the laws of religion, we would rather claim spirituality, and spirituality can be anything that makes you and I feel good. I'm going to prove that in a minute. Isaiah 38 through 10 of the King James Version of the Bible, it reads, "Now go, write it before them in a table, and note it in a book, that it may be for the time to come forever and ever, that this is a rebellious people, lying children, children that will not hear the law of the Lord." Now, spirituality doesn't have a law. So Allah says in the Quran that I chose for you the religion called Islam. And Islam is following universal law. You know right from wrong. But spirituality, you can do wrong, and because it feels good, you can say it is good. I'm going to prove that in a minute. I said spirituality is, because it feels good, you can justify in your mind that it is good. And I am going to prove that by God's permission in a minute. Now, someone on my YouTube channel told me there is no God. Grow up. You don't need one. Your mind is sufficient for you. The sick, psychotic thoughts in your brain that you are better, that you and your thoughts are worthy of praise, that whatever you do is justified, that's fine. That's your choice. I, on the other hand, know that I am filled with ego, an egotistical thought that needs to be balanced and controlled. So as long as I am thinking my thought, doing what I want to do, I'm acting on impulse, I am acting on the egotistical nature of myself, then I am answering the voice of the satanic side of myself because I am not balanced. Man and woman are together for balance. Man is saying he is the God, but he is no God without a woman. Some men are saying the women are God because of their vagina, but they are not a God without a man. But man and woman together are God. Understand that. Isaiah 30, 18 and 10, it says that this is in 9, we're in 9 now. It says that this is a rebellious people, lying children, children that will not hear the law of the Lord, which say to the seers, see not, and to the prophets, prophesy not, until unto us right things. Speak unto us smooth things, prophesy deceit. This generation wants to hear from the preachers and the ministers that everything they desire to do is right. And since they have such a smorgasbord and variety of churches, because you got 20,000 churches on one block, that's an exaggeration, but I'm making a point. If this church tells me I can't do something, I'm going to leave it and go to another one. So the minister realizes he has to keep the flock. The minister begins to capitulate to the people and only read scriptures to them that teach them of this happy life that they're going to receive. And this promised land that is in the Bible and in the other religious scriptures is not the promised land that the ministers today are feeding the people. The promised land that they are feeding today is money, wealth, and that's it. Money, good homes, friends in all walks of life are coming in accordance to our balance and our understanding of the time in which we live. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad says that heaven is money, good home, friends in all walks of life. I say, well, wow, I don't have a bunch of money, I don't have no friends, and I don't have, this great home. Then that means I'm in hell still? Think about that. So I'm saying if I'm supposed to be in heaven, then it didn't say the best home. It didn't say all the money. He didn't say all the friends. But heaven is money, good homes, friends in all walks of life. But religion today is teaching that so everybody is moving to Atlanta to get the big houses to prove that they're in heaven, and here these big homes. Are we there yet, though, in this promised land? Isaiah 30 and 8 through 10 of the King James Version of the Bible, I'm going to read it again, says, now go, write it before them in a table, and note it in a book, that it may be for the time to come forever and ever. Remind them of this thing, because they're going to forget that this is a rebellious people, lying children, children that will not hear the law of the Lord. Now, our children are using this term called finessing. And they're not just finessing each other, but they're finessing their parents as well. Children today live triple, quadruple lives. I laugh at mine because when they come home, yes, sir, no, sir, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. And in your mind, you think, oh, my children are just so mannerable. Then you find out in the street they're doing all type of horrible things. That's finessing. That's what that is. When I was younger, I didn't want to do anything contrary to the way my mother instructed me not to do, because I didn't want to disappoint her. I didn't want to live double lives that I had to keep all of these secrets away from home. My brother used to steal a lot, and he would always get caught. And the police would take him to the station. He had to get a phone call to mama. She had to get him out of jail. I didn't want to do that. But today, we take pleasure. I have a second youngest son, my little son, little Keith. He's big Keith now. But he took pleasure in me being proven wrong. Because that means that maybe the thoughts that's in my mind are right. Takes pleasure to this day in blaming me for his life. Because in his mind, we should have had a bunch of money to give to him so he could live comfortable. That's funny. So the scripture teaches you how to disconnect from children until there is a balance in the relationship. Now, I love them to death, all of them. But whether they're here or whether they're gone, I'm going to keep going. The reason being the disconnection between what I was trying to teach them about life, how to get through it, and how they perceived what I taught. The promised land, are we there yet? In our children, finessing us, telling us lies, being whatever we want them to be, but living double, triple lives. So many homosexuals that can't tell their parents that they are homosexuals, living double and triple lives. Come home like it's nothing to it. We believe what we see, the illusion of it. We're talking about the promised land. And I'm asking the question, are we there yet? And if so, where did we go wrong in it? Isaiah 38 through 10. I'm at 9 now. It says that this is a rebellious people, lying children, children that will not hear the law of the Lord, which say to the seers, see not. We don't want you to tell us what the future or the past is the past. We don't want to, and the preachers are very good at that now, telling you to forget the past. How in the world are you going to keep going forward, forgetting what you've been through already? Rather it's rape, rather it's robbery, murder, not let it control you, but never forget it so that you don't end up in that situation again. We're going to go into that in a minute. Children that will not hear the law of the Lord, which say to the seers, see not, and to the prophets, prophesy not unto us right things. Speak unto us smooth things, prophesy deceit. Now, I want to say this to the people on Facebook is already cut off. It's so crappy. But to the people on YouTube, I am not able to see what's broadcasting right now. I have up my teleprompter and I have up my software for video streaming. So I don't have up the board for seeing any comment, if any came through. If not, that's fine too. This is something I have to do. You should understand that by now. I've been on YouTube since 2006. And by God's permission, I haven't wavered, but I don't get a bunch of views. I don't get hundreds and thousands of views. It might get past that, but I still got to do it. Because I'm getting the weight off of me, and the blood off of my hands the best way I know how. And hopefully I have high ranking in Google and Gmail and all that stuff, so maybe it'll get through. But then I wash my hands to it because it is not the job of the messenger. It's only the job of the messenger to deliver the message clearly. That's it. I can't change your thinking. I can't change your mind. I'm not trying to convince you to be my friend or to subscribe to my page or unsubscribe from the page. But as I said earlier, I am black in essence. And so I talk about black issues. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not advocating violence against any other race of people or anything. So there shouldn't be an issue. Now 10 says, which say to the seers, see not, and to the prophets prophesy not unto us right things, speak unto us smooth things, prophesy deceit. Now I want to go into Thessalonians 2. We're going to move faster, 8 through 12 of the King James Version of the Bible. And it is talking about the man of sin. And in Thessalonians it says in 8 through 12, it says, and then shall that wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming. Even him whose coming is after the working of Satan with all power and signs and lying wonders, and with all deceivableness of unrighteousness in them that perish. Satan has some helpers. And Satan is going to instruct these helpers how to keep the masses of the people enslaved with satanic thought. And Satan is going to back out of the way. You're not going to see him anymore. He doesn't exist in our minds because we don't see him. But he has already employed and indoctrinated these other people who are going to carry on the satanic ritual, the satanic thought, the satanic ideas. But you're going to think they're your friend because they're your color. They're in the field of study that you're in. They talk nice. They're soothsayers. But they come after the working of Satan with all of Satan's powers, all of Satan's signs, and all of the lying wonders of Satan. And with all deceivableness of unrighteousness in them that perish, because they receive not the love of the truth, that they might be saved. Now, only thing saving you and I is the love of the truth. Faith in God and the love of the truth. And for this cause, because we refuse to accept these caveats, for this cause, God shall send them strong delusions. Now, I said earlier in Isaiah how we want these delusions. We want these lies to be the reality. So we say to the preachers, I'm not coming to your church until you allow me to come in like I am. And I'll have no intentions of changing what I am. Okay? Because they receive not the love of the truth, that they might be saved. And for this cause God shall send them strong delusions, that they should believe a lie, that they all might be damned who believe not the truth, but had pleasure in unrighteousness. Now we are having a good time in hell, and we are finding so much pleasure in unrighteousness. And outside of the home, we are totally unrighteous and we do what we want. We come home, yes, ma'am, yes, sir. We can hold ourselves for that. But we can't hide from the universal law that is called God. What goes around comes around. If this happens, that will eventually happen. May not happen with you, but it will happen through your children. That's why most people who are hard-headed don't want to have babies. And when they have them, they come out the gate calling them stuff like that. That's a little bad nigga. That's a little badass. Because you knew what you were. And you knew you put forth no effort to change what you were. So you're expecting and anticipating the payback. Now, the working of Satan will energize evil and negative thought. The workings of Satan will energize evil and negative thought so much to the point where we think that we are being blessed, when in actuality, we are being cursed even more. Now, giving those who revel in wickedness the tools and the excuses, the opportunity to express their evil without retribution, because evil has become fair seeming in their soul. Satan is after the soul, and he has devoured most of us who are under the delusion that we're with God. I'm going to say that again. Satan devours the soul. And many of us think that because we got a good job, big house, nice cars, children in school, that we are blessed. But no, I'm not going to say you have to remember. I pray that you will remember that we're in hell now. We're in hell now. So it could be that we are just successful with the devil. And the devil takes no time in reminding us what world we are in. The shootings, the calling of the police on the young men in Starbucks, the calling of the police on the women who thought they could go out with their powerful, strong black women, queens, who thought they could go out on the golf course and just play a quick round or two. Satan reminds you where you are. So you start to quoting laws and start to quoting biblical scripture, and bow. I don't need to hear that in my satanic world. You in the wrong place with your prayers and with your desire to be free. You in the wrong place. So in the book of Revelation, it says, come out of her. She is a den of thieves, a habitation of devils. Don't mean run. You can't run nowhere. These satanic arms have touched the entire world. I don't care where you go in society, you're going to find a McDonald's or a KFC. Fake food is normal. Now, Satan has devoured most of us who are under the delusion that we are with God. That's why the laws of religion are being replaced with spirituality. See, you can be spiritual and be anything. I'm going to prove it in a minute. The children of Israel who were led to the promised land went in with the knowledge of how they got there, because there was a remembrance in the few years after being in the promised land. Joshua and Caleb led them into the promised land. Moses and Aaron were not allowed to go in, but the 40-year travels, the struggle was remembered for a few years until the people started disregarding the past. Forget about the past, and started from being inside of this place called the promised land, and we didn't remember any of the struggles we went through. So now we're saying, oh man, everybody's all equal, everything's good. You still on that old stuff? But the promised land was meant for the people to see it, because we love to see things, and then we had to make it a reality in our minds and in our hearts. That is the part that we are neglecting. I hope that makes sense, Lord. Gee whiz. Now, they went in with the knowledge of the time, and the children gradually forgot who got them there in the promised land and why they were there and how they got there. So the command from God was to conquer the land from the giants. And again, not the literal giants, but the people who were in control. That was the command. Caleb and Joshua went, and they saw the promised land. It was occupied by giants, but they came back with a favorable report. They brought back fruit. They brought back vegetables. They said it's there, just like God said it's there. All we have to do is go and get it. Now, sometimes we think we have conquered a thing, when in actuality, we have become a captive of it, and we have joined onto it. The giant in the land has complete control over us. But he no longer stands over us like a puppeteer. He hires people, like I said earlier, just like us. Place them in positions of authority and have them to be the face of control. That's why we love Barack Obama so much. But if you read the history of his presidency and you care about what he did and didn't do, his black face will not be enough to compensate for what was done and what was not done. And that's not hate. I'm talking facts right now. I'm talking what we wanted to see and what really was. That was the illusion. Now, Donald Trump is the illusion for white people, because more and more white folks, poor whites, are losing their benefits, losing their Medicaid, losing everything under Donald Trump. They don't show it on the news, but he is their illusion, as Obama was ours. Because in the 90s, we were exploding with the desire to be free from this world. Something had to keep us here. Money kept us here, the desire to do better, see better. And then we get at a point where we're about to explode because all of the police killings and murders of black men being filmed. Here comes Barack Obama. That's not a promised land. That's a promised lie. And as the scripture says, since we desire to believe the lie so much, God will allow us to be fed more and more delusions. Now, the giants in the land has complete control over us. We wanted the promised land so badly that we accepted this illusion and not the real thing. So we are now paid slaves who were warned in biblical scriptures to be cautious of how we perceived money and to understand the purpose of money in all of its forms. Now, when I talk about slavery, you know what we went through. But now white people are calling us brothers, and we're going through the same thing, brother. It's the government, brother, because they are realizing as well their position that they perceived was solidified with their color, and their actions is not solidified. So they're looking around like the nerve. There was a white lady and her husband that went off on two military people, black women. The woman was pregnant. The white lady, you don't touch me. The evil was in her. She got arrested. In her mind, the nerve, I never got arrested for mistreating blacks before. But the reality of it is coming to fruition. And the disillusioned white person is blaming the black person for their disillusionment and for their lack of success. And that mindset is being fed by satanic words, and they're going out now as in the Huddle House and just killing 2, 3, 4, Dylan Roof, 9, 10, 11, don't matter. Go and just shoot them because it's their fault. The promised land, are we there yet? I think it's a valid question. I think we need to rethink and see exactly what a promised land is and realize that perhaps, we're not there. The giant in the land has complete control over us, but he no longer stands over us like a puppeteer. He hires people like us, place them in positions of authority, and have them be the face of his control. It's all throughout Clarendon County, Manning, Sumter. You see black faces, you get excited, but watch their actions and ask yourself what is being done for the masses of the people, not just the few wealthy and rich, but the masses of the people. The masses of the people get entertainment, a party, some type of event. But the wise get tax breaks and land offerings and things that build business. So Trump says, we don't want no more of them, I don't want to quote it, but talking about Africans coming over here. He don't want that. He want people that are going to come over here and we'll give them money to be successful, not no more raggedy people, the people that don't matter. Every Chinese or Japanese person you see come over here are leaving poverty, but they're given money and place and money and land and an opportunity to grow. And they're taught that black folks aren't worth the trouble. So they treat us just as bad as white folks, and we flock to their stores because they're selling the thing that we want. We are the only race of people exploited by every other race of people. Chinese and Japanese don't vote. Chinese and Japanese will never shop at a black store. Never. If they do, they're trying to integrate into black. They're not accepted in their own society anymore. You see them all the time. Now, right now, although the illusion tells us that we have made it, we have not conquered the land. We are slaves to its former occupants. I'm going to say that again. We think that we've conquered the land, but in actuality, we are slaves to the former occupants of the land. They are very crafty, wiser than we are, and we are tired of fighting. Most of us are just plain lazy. And we have lost the desire to be free. But our biggest enemy is fear. I try to teach my children because I was brought up under fear. I know what it is to have white folks come in the neighborhood with sheets on and burn crosses in your yard and threaten you. I had gun put in my mouth. I've been slapped by white people. I've been called more niggas than I can imagine. I've had to run from my own people and their bully, devilish nature. And now I keep to myself because I'm so enraged from all of that, that the person who may try to bully me at this point has no idea what is in my mind for them. So as a precautionary measure, I stay away from people who aggravate me. I think that's right. That way you won't get into trouble. Now, this satanic being person is very crafty, wiser than we are, and we're tired of fighting, we're lazy, but our biggest enemy, as I said, is fear. And what fear does is that fear stifles you where you stand. You don't know whether to run, stand still, say something, not say something, do something, not do something, so you just stand there. It's called suspended animation. It's called the fight or flight response. It's like the adrenaline is running so hard you don't know what to do, so you just stand there. I know it. I lived it. I try to help my son through it, but his anger is directed towards me. I know it. I know what it feels like to not know what to do. You're capable of doing it, but you're so frightened by everybody telling you other things. You don't know what to do. And God said, wipe all of their thoughts out and do what I tell you to do. Do what you're capable of doing, even if you have to do it alone. So every single thought that comes to my mind that God says to do, I do it. It may not be as successful outside of my own little world, but I prove to myself by God's permission that if I think a thought, I can make it a reality. And that keeps me going. So I tell my son, you can't keep striking out. You gotta hit the ball. You gotta find. But he's angry. Okay, you stay that way and you will lose. I lived it. This promised land, are we there? Fear makes us willing slaves to somebody else. We just listen to whatever they say. Whatever they say, jump, you jump. Run, you run. You don't even ask why. Why are you telling me? I'm standing. Will you shut up? No, we just do it. We're willing slaves, and that will not change until we change. Certainly, God does not change a person's condition until they change it. Now, I told you earlier that spirituality is a dangerous thing because we can justify feeling good about something and say we're doing the work of God. Religion, in today's definition and marginalized area, is slavery. Religion is slavery. When you don't understand it, religion is slavery. But spirituality is more dangerous than religion at times because it is a feeling. Spirituality is a feeling. You smoke marijuana, you get high. Oh, man, look, man, I'm with the God. You drink liquor, you get high, I'm with the God. You're having sex, you get high, I'm with the God. You beating people up because some people get high off of beating people up. They justify that. White people enslaved us under the banner and symbol of Christianity. White people enslaved us under the banner and symbol of Christianity. Christianity was the religious law that they manipulated, and spirituality is the feeling that they felt in order to justify what they did to us. Let them tell it. They did us a favor by bringing us here and even got intelligent people saying that we were blessed by being brought into slavery and being tortured and murdered and raped. White folks think they did us a favor. White folks think they did God's work, and they think they're doing God's work by experimenting all of these different medications on us. They're doing the work of God. They don't have no problem with killing a black man and going to church. They have no problem with going to church and then having a lynching picnic after church. They have no problem with mutilating, raping, destroying, beating our women. The great Harriet Tubman had seizures all of her life because she was hit in the head with something by a slave master. They have no problem with that, with what happened with Emmett Till. They have no problem with shooting the young man who was shot down in front of his wife and child in the back seat that worked at the school. I can't remember his name. I don't want to mispronounce it. They have no problem with shooting down the young man that was trying to hustle CDs or choking out the man with trying to sell cigarettes. That's no problem to them. They're doing God's work because in their mind, we're animals. We don't serve your kind. This is the part of lecturing that I know you get upset about, but this is the part that has to be talked about. Because this is what is, and let me tell you, this is what is causing us to miss our opportunity at the promised land. And this is what will destroy the country when ignorant people don't know their role and position in God's order of things. So if I am teaching black people to do better by God's permission and follow what God says, that is a benefit to all people. Otherwise, there's going to be an issue. Because your children are listening to more dirty, filthy rap music than ours are. And they got more money to buy better sound systems and buy better equipment. So now they DJing now. Wicked, wicked, wicked. And they cutting up all the dirty, filthy music. And you're looking at them like, who are you? So what God is telling me to teach is for not only for black, it's for white, it's for all. And you can feel it. You know it's the truth. It's no bias or racism in this. It's just truth in it. Now, they're crafty, wiser than we are, and we're tired of fighting. But our biggest enemy, again, is fear. Internal fear makes us willing slaves to Satan. And that will not change until we change. See, some people have to die for the right reason in order for things to change. You know that. History has proven it. Religion is slavery when you don't understand it. But spirituality, again, more dangerous because it is a feeling. White folks, they enslaved us under the banner and symbol of the cross. Christianity was the religious law that they manipulated, and spirituality is the feeling that they felt in order to justify what they did to us, and now want us to forget about it and take their friendship as compensation for what we've gone through and still suffer through. That's not fair. So when someone doesn't willingly give you something and it's yours, you have to take it. And the thing that you and I have to take is our right to understanding. And if we have money, we have to take that money and buy things for ourselves. We're not going to be Fortune 500. We might be just Fortune 5. But when you build something for yourself, the people who disrespected you will begin to realize we have to respect them because dollars makes the difference. Now, let them tell it they did us a favor. They were doing God's work by destroying an entire race of people, and we're still destroyed, whether you think so or not. Now, I want to read something from Thomas Jefferson, a denunciation of slavery. And he wrote this in 1785 because he knew that every action had an equal and opposite reaction. So here he is denouncing the thing that made him rich. These are his words, quote, end quote. The whole commerce between master and slave is a perpetual exercise of the most boisterous passion, the most unremitting despotism on the one part and degrading submission on the other. Our children see this and learn to imitate it. Their children see how they treated black people and they learn to imitate it. This is Thomas Jefferson talking. The parent storms, the child looks on, catches the lineament of wrath, puts on the same air in the circle of smaller slaves, gives a loose to his worst passion, and thus nursed, educated, and daily exercised in tyranny, cannot but be stamped by it with odious peculiarities. The man must be a prodigy who can retain his manners and morals undepraved by such circumstances. If a slave can have a country in this world, it must be any other in preference to that in which he is to be born to live and labor for another, or entail his own miserable conditions on the endless generation proceeding from it. This is Thomas Jefferson. Indeed, I tremble for my country when I reflect that God is just, that his justice cannot sleep forever. Thomas Jefferson knew that until the corrections came for the minds of the slave, there is no promised land. Are we there yet? No. Does it appear as if though we're there? Yes. Do our children know what it is? No. Do they care? No. Will they care? Yes, but only when the destruction of God takes control and supersedes the control of this satanic world. Now, the illusion makes everything all right, and everyone that interrupts that illusionary state, we stay away from. We even go so far as to call them who disrupt that illusionary state ungodly, and to call them troublemakers, say that what they believe is crazy. Jesus Christ, the one that everyone is in love with today, was considered the troublemaker in biblical times. He was considered the crazy. He was called the devil of the day and reminded that he was a bastard. He was sent to bust up this illusionary world, but those who controlled the illusion didn't like him too much. In fact, all real prophets and messengers are sent and raised to bust up the illusionary world. They never come to join unto the status quo. Now, I want to go into Matthew 10:34 through 40 of the King James Version of the Bible, and we're going to close out very soon. The reads as follows, just as Jesus talking. This is why I'm telling you he came to bust up this world, but we are teaching Jesus as if though he approves of this madness. And we simply omit the madness and just show the trinkets and things of this world and say that we're in heaven, and that is a lie. Matthew 10:34 through 40 of the King James Version of the Bible. Think not that I am come to send peace on earth. I came not to send peace, but a sword. For I am come to set a man at variance against his father, and the daughter against her mother, and the daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law, and a man's foes shall be they of his own household. He that loveth father or mother more than me is not worthy of me, and he that loveth son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me. And he that taketh not his cross and followeth after me is not worthy of me. Taking up your cross means the confusion of your mind, the confusion of my mind, and following the pattern of Christ until we are no longer delusioned or disillusioned by what we see life as it really is. Jesus was taught and then sent to a people, and he knew life as it really was. So he realized that he was not in a promised land, even though there were trinkets all over the place. And that's why he went into the church and turned over the money tables, because the church was under the same illusion as it is today, fooling you into thinking that your tithes and your attendance is what gives you righteousness and kudos and ranking in God's army. And that is a lie. We must control this thing called mind, body, spirit, and soul. How you going to talk about being with God when you 500 pounds and won't even walk down the road, won't even exercise, won't drink a glass of water, but you will eat a pork chop in the name of God and you're damn near dead? And you get up there hollering and Lord, and breathing like a cow. But this is the temple of God. And he taketh not his cross and followeth after me, not worthy of me, Jesus says. He that findeth his life shall lose it, and he that loseth his life for my sake shall find it. So all of us who are losing our lives just for the sake of losing it, and then the preacher talking about you going to heaven, that ain't so. He that receiveth, you received your heaven while you were here. You did what you wanted to do. That's spirituality. He that receiveth you receiveth me, and he that receiveth me receiveth him that sent me. Now, keep in mind that the message and the messenger are always for the people in trouble. But the people in trouble aren't aware of the magnitude of the trouble that they are in. In earnest, they believe that life is good under the illusion of Satan in influence. Satan's world has many perks to it, and I'm closing. We live very well in it. We live very comfortable in it. And the longer we're in it, the more it becomes a part of our reality. God no longer pulls on you. You no longer feel that there is a problem, an issue. You just go along to get along, and you justify evil because you no longer feel God in your actions. So whatever is being done by the masses is what appears normal. When Moses was led and sent to the children of Israel, he first had to convince them that they were enslaved because slavery was a lifestyle that they had become accustomed to. So we are enslaved, and someone has to try to convince us first that we are slaves. Pharaoh knew what they were, but they didn't know. So when Moses told them of their condition, Pharaoh became enraged that Moses was trying to turn the light on in their minds, and swore to kill the children of Israel before they could get to a promised land, before they could ever flee in their body and their mind and their spirit. That was the first journey, to admit that this, what we were experiencing, wasn't the truth. Now I want to close with this. Isaiah 30 and 1 and 3 of the King James Bible, and then I'm closing. King James Bible says, woe to the rebellious children. I'm talking about you millennials now, and those of you who think that what the older ones have to offer, that we're old heads. We don't know what we're talking about. It says, woe to the rebellious children, saith the Lord, that take counsel, but not of me, and that cover with a covering, but not of my spirit, that they may add sin to sin, that walk to go down into Egypt, and have not asked at my mouth, to strengthen themselves in the strength of Pharaoh, and to trust in the shadow of Egypt. See, we want to mesh into this evil. We want to strengthen our strength with Pharaoh's strength. Pharaoh realizes that the world is falling apart, so he backs away, gives us the crumbs, and we get our little bit. We're minions. We're little gremlins. And continue to perpetuate the lies and the evils of Pharaoh. Why do you think we are so confident in calling ourselves niggers? Nigger everything. We're taking the position because you're going to be successful if you say you're a nigger now. You have all of the amenities of life as long as the word nigger is in the chapter, in the title. I'm just a nigger. I'm a nigger, you a nigger, nigger. That's good for business, for Satan's world. But words have power. In closing, Isaiah 30 and 1 through 3, and we're in 2. Those that walk to go down in Egypt and have not asked at my mouth, you just can't wait to get involved with the evil. Themselves in the strength of Pharaoh, and they want to strengthen themselves in the strength of Pharaoh and to trust in the shadow of Egypt. Therefore shall the strength of Pharaoh be your shame, and the trust in the shadow of evil your confusion. So we are in a state of confusion. And anyone can tell us what to do and how to do it, and we're trying to do everything from everybody. Do you understand what I'm saying? We are trying to please everybody. So I ran into my son on yesterday. I said, stop listening to everybody and play your game. He argues with me. Okay, fine. Listen to everybody and see if that's better for you. So I am cautioning everyone now to find the truth out for yourself and get to God the way you know how, because he leaves a lots of doors and windows open for our salvation. And most arrogant, egotistical people only believe that you will get through God the way that they think they got there. So no matter how much good you do, they'll always find fault with you and your actions because you're not doing it their way. So now I'm praying that God helps me to separate from my son so he can do it his way and find his way and no longer blame me for trying to help him. This is where we are. Most people think that if you don't do it the way they say, you will never be successful, but that is not what God says. So I am cautioning us, especially my empathetic people who want to please everybody. You're being bullied, and you don't know how to say no. But say no and run. Joseph ran. Many of the prophets flee. They go, pow, they're gone. Why? Because I cannot control trying to do the good thing with other people. I'm always going to be the one suffering for everyone else's glorification. because of my nature. So I thank you for tuning in. The promised land, are we there yet? And the answer is not even close. Because the scripture says, get the understanding of God, and all the other trinkets I'll give to you. But we did it in reverse because Satan gave us the trinkets and we could care less about the understanding of God. This is Jamil Salib Zamir of the 19 Report, Manning, South Carolina. Sincerely thanking all of you for tuning in. And I hope sincerely that this message, you will share it, because it's the only way I get through on social media. You have to share. Liking it is not enough. You have to get me over this border. They shut off my broadcast in many different countries. But if you share it, it will get past that. So sharing is like gold to me. And I pray that you will share it, because I am trying so very hard to uh, deliver the message that I feel God has given me to deliver. Thank you for tuning in. Jamil Salib Zamir of Manning, South Carolina.